Back in 2022, we visited Madeira as part of a 2-week trip throughout Portugal. And we had been planning that trip since before the pandemic, so we had a lot of time to think it over. We were finally able to take it. And during that planning, we went back and forth as to whether or not to include Madeira as part of this, as it involved a flight from the mainland and then a flight back to the mainland. And we finally did make it. And once we were there, we fell in love. And this year we went back for 2 more weeks and we found more to love. And in this video, we'll tell you why. One of the main questions that we get when we talk about going to Madeira is, where is Madeira? It's part of Spain or something, isn't it? Well, actually, Madeira is the primary island in an archipelago that lies off the coast of Morocco. It's an autonomous region of Portugal, and they've been part of their territory since 1420. Even though Portuguese is the main language spoken, the British have been there for over a century, both on holiday and investing. And so there's probably no place else in the EU where English is more widely spoken, save Ireland. And as I said, to get to Madeira, you're going to need to fly there unless you happen to be on one of the 2 or 3 cruise ships that docks there just about every day. Because of the high and frequently challenging winds, the approach to Madeira Airport is particularly challenging and requires the pilot to have a special certification. Now, those flights come from all over Europe, and starting in June, they will be coming from the United States in Newark, as United Airlines is going to start service there. If you happen to go, your landing in Madeira is likely going to be live streamed by one of the several YouTube channels that focus strictly on the airport. While I was there, I had a chance to chat with Pedro Medeiros, whose channel, Madeira Airport Spotting, is the original channel that deals with aviation there. And if you'd like to take a look at it, I'll have it linked in the description below. Having said all that, though, is it worth the effort to get there? Well, the answer, as far as we're concerned, is a resounding yes. Madeira is often called the Hawaii of the Atlantic, and the comparison is not that inapt. Though it's considered subtropical in climate, the island is home to multiple microclimates that manifest themselves at various altitudes and different sides of the island, making for the possibility of many varied adventures within its 286 square miles. Now, by comparison, Oahu is 597 square miles, so Madeira is really quite compact. Funchal is the capital, and almost half of the people who are there live there. Well, once you're at Madeira, however, one thing that will be constant throughout your visit is the great beauty that is going to surround you. The rugged volcanic origin of the island makes for incredible topography, allowing you to look one way to the mountains and the other to the sea, which meets the land in some breathtaking ways. We spent one day just driving from one miradoro or scenic viewpoint to the next, and we're constantly impressed by the next scene that we were encountering. Now, the variation in climates on the island also allows for a number of things to grow there. And then bananas, for instance, are widely grown throughout the island, and they're exported beyond. We even went to a banana museum, which for €9, I don't know I would necessarily recommend, but we did learn a lot about how bananas are grown and their history of cultivation on the island. The other thing that Madeira is known for growing, or at least producing, is Madeira wine, which is a slightly sweet, generally, or perhaps very sweet, fortified wine that was discovered, albeit somewhat accidentally, on Madeira. Blandy's Wine Cellars in Funchal is worth a visit to learn about and taste Madeira wine. Now, I certainly don't know the entire world well enough to speak definitively about this, but it's hard to imagine another place in the world where bananas and wine grapes can be grown side by side. The climate in Madeira year-round is mild, with summers being not too hot and with winters being not too cold. And if you love the outdoors, you'll love Madeira because it has some of the best hiking trails in the world. The difficulty level varies from novice to highly technical, and almost all the trails involve going up some sort of slope. We took an easy 3-kilometer hike to Balcoish, which rewarded us with a spectacular view of a river valley leading to the ocean on the north shore. Now, this hike is actually an optional excursion for every cruise ship that comes to Madeira, so go early while there's still parking to be had. And as we were walking back from the viewpoint, we were confronted by multiple groups of 30 or more people who were going to cram into the narrow space where the view is. Another renowned activity which draws tourist crowds in Madeira is to take a street toboggan down from Monte by the Botanical Garden, which, by the way, itself is worth visiting, toward downtown Funchal. Now, to get all the way there, you're going to have to take one of the cable cars up the hill, and then you can walk a short way away where the 2-person toboggans launch with 2 pushers apiece for a thrilling and fun ride down the hill. The asphalt of the streets there has been worn smooth from years of rides like this. One word of caution, however, is that the ride, which is €35 per 2 people, is cash only. And I had to scramble to an ATM that was sort of nearby that had a poor exchange rate in order to get the necessary cash. And you're also going to be expected to have cash to tip your pushers. One thing you shouldn't expect in Madeira, however, is sandy beaches. Most of the places where you can get to the water, you'll find a rocky coastline instead of sand, and the rugged topography limits access to the water in general. Now, the beach in Machico is an exception to this, but again, because it's popular, you're going to have to get there early in order to find a parking space to be there. So how much does this island paradise cost? Well, less than you might think. Now, of course, you're going to have to pay for your journey there, but there are a number of inexpensive flights, especially from the UK and the Portuguese mainland. Once there, you will find that things are surprisingly cheap, even cheaper than in most of the rest of Portugal. Madeira's autonomous region status means that taxes on things like gasoline are lower than they are in the mainland. We didn't spend any more than $55 on any meal, and that meal included an entire bottle of wine. Often you can get a fixed price menu for lunch, which includes drink and dessert, for less than €12. Draft beer is widely available for €2 or €3, and you aren't generally expected to tip. Groceries, too, are generally cheaper than in the US, and in some cases way cheaper. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in Garajá, which is located between the airport and downtown Funchal, for 2 weeks for less than $1,000. Now, granted, that was in January. The area had plenty of shopping and restaurants, and we had some great meals within walking distance of our apartment. However, you will almost certainly want to rent a car for at least part of the time while you're in Madeira, as public transportation is limited. But rental cars, too, are inexpensive if you can drive a manual transmission. We paid just over €200 for a 2-week rental, and that was from budget. If you're considering and looking for a unique, beautiful vacation spot that has rightly been called a paradise, well, then you should consider Madeira. Though not on the radar of many in the U.S., Europeans have been vacationing here for decades, and it continues to get only more popular. We think that once you've been there, like us, you're going to want to come back. If you found this video helpful, we'd appreciate you helping us by liking the video or subscribing, as it will help us build this new channel. As always, thanks for watching, and then until next time, wander out.